I'm Alicia Cates with Mid-America Regional Council, and I'm coming to you. We're working with Climate Action KC to build a climate resilience plan for our region. And I'm coming to you today with our climate conversation with Seft Hunter. And Seft is the Director of Black-led Organizing of Community Change. And today we're going to talk about climate resilience. So Seft, tell me a little bit about your work.
Alicia, I'm really excited to step into this conversation with you this morning. I'm with an organization called Community Change. We're a 50-year-old organization based in Washington, D.C. We work primarily on issues of racial and economic justice, and I think deeply connected to that, and oftentimes not really understood, but part of that work is about the environment and how we work to create both a safe, thriving, and sustainable world and communities.
That's great, Seth. So tell us more about what role does your work play in building climate resilience?
And so, Alicia, I have the opportunity to work with groups all across the country and also here in Kansas City and across the region. And in part, these are primarily historically marginalized communities, communities of color, wherein we can readily often point to the impact of economic issues, right? The impact of community conditions on our health and well-being. But less so, we can't as readily point to the impact of the environment on our health and well-being. And so I got to tell you, part of our work is about creating broad awareness to help folks understand not just how economic and social issues impact our health, but also how issues of the environment impact our health. I gotta tell you, for the last decade or so, we've been working with the Kansas City Health Department and others, trying to map life expectancy by zip code. And here in Kansas City, between communities that are east and west of Truce, there is a 15 to 17-year difference in life expectancy. And while we know that things like civic participation, racial discrimination, issues with disparities in income, right, impact that disparity that we see in life expectancy, also connected to that and not often as discussed are some of the environmental conditions that exist in low-income communities and communities of color. And so our work is about creating both broad awareness of the kind of intersecting issues as we're working to kind of develop strategies to close the gap, close the disparities that we see in differences in life expectancy.
Well, that is a tall order for your work, Seft. Appreciate everything that you're doing there. Let's shift gears a little bit and talk about what your vision is for a climate resilient Kansas City metro region.
Yeah, I think we've seen over the last several years broad awareness across the country and even the world for that matter. I think we saw like a number of young people in protests and marches all across the country. So I think we're at a moment of broad awareness across the country and around the world. We need to ensure that we're replicating, that we're also kind of creating the conditions here locally where folks are aware not just of the problem, right? Because we have to start there. But I think more importantly, we need to identify what are the specific things that we can do at all levels of our community. So what is the role of local government in this conversation? What is the role of private industry in this conversation? And then specifically, what are the roles of community members and individuals in kind of creating the kind of conditions that we need to see, both in awareness as well as specific strategies, very tangible things that we can do to work towards a more resilient KC and a more resilient state and country for that matter.
Wow, I think that is definitely something that we can get working on in our plan. And I appreciate you sharing your thoughts. I hope that we're able to continue to stay in touch on this issue and be able to mutually support each other's work. So I appreciate you being here. And I have to admit, I'm a little jealous that you're outside right now because that breeze looks wonderful. And to those who are watching, if you're interested in learning more about Climate Action KC and how you can get involved, I encourage you to go to the website, which is posted here, and check out some of the other climate conversations, learn a little bit more about what Climate KC is up to. But until then, I'm Alicia Cates from Mid-America Regional Council, signing off on Climate Conversations.